Hey guys, and welcome to Gwent, the Witcher card game. My name is Jaggerus, and I have 166 kegs to open. And I'm not going to open all of them in this video, we're going to open a few. I'm basically going to show you any keg that's particularly interesting, and also show you which card I would choose when given the choice. And beyond that, I'll try and keep an eye on my rates for drops, so then at the end I can give you an overview of what exactly was in these kegs. So, without further ado, let's get smashing. So, first choice is Vikavaro Novice, Immune Boost, and Temerian Infantry. I don't think Vikavaro Novice is that useful, so I'm picking between Immune Boost and Temerian Infantry here. Immune Boost is more useful if you're going for multiple deck strategies because it's a neutral, whereas Temerian Infantryman is useful if you want to kind of get started with Northern Realms. I'm going to pick the Infantryman because I really like them in Northern Realms. They're good for Northern Realms beginner decks, and they help you thin your deck. So, second pack, we have some purples. Our options are The Last Witch, Prince Stennis, or Crone Weavis. In this situation, I kind of feel like the Crone is a decent pick, because once you get 3 Crones, that really helps you get started with monsters. It allows you to put a lot of damage on the board. Alternatively, you know, I also really like Stennis. He's got 2 armor and a 2-turn timer, and he gets boosted by the number of machine allies, then reset the timer. So if you're going for like a machine deck, this is useful. Last Wish is not bad. It gives you card draw. But the thing is, you then play the card, so it's basically just draw a card and play one. So it's a bit random. I don't think it's as good as the other two. So in this situation, I'm going to go for the Crone. So here we have the choice of Blood Curdling Roar, Clan's Drum and Shield Maiden, or Nausicaa Standard Bearer. I think Nausicaa Standard Bearer is really nice because it clears weather, and I feel like weather will be quite prevalent in this patch, so this seems like a pretty useful pick. Meanwhile, we have the Clan Drum and Shield Maiden. She damages a unit by 2. If it was already damaged, summon another Clan Drum and Shield Maiden. So she kind of goes with the damaging Skellige strategy, as does Blood Curdling Roar. So if that's a strategy you want to go for, then go for it. I think here, like, I would probably go Blood Curdling Roar or Nausicaa Standard Bearer. But because I want to play around with Nilfgaard, I'm going to grab the Standard Bearer. So here we have the Clan Drum and Shield Maiden again, then the Trapper and the Blue Stripe Commando. So the Trapper, when you play her, she spawns a Fireball Trap on an opposing row. And the Fireball Trap, I think what it does is, well, I don't know, I can't find out. I can't right click and click. On the previous game, a Fireball Trap would be an ambush card that flipped over and dealt damage. I think in this case, it's maybe more like a Cow Carcass where you put a trap on the row and then it deals damage to the row. So that's kind of what that does. Meanwhile, we have the Blue Stripe Commando, which is a bit more complicated. 3 strength, summon this unit, only 1 copy, whenever a different ally with the same power is played, and place it on that unit's row. So whenever you play a different character that has 3 strength, this unit gets pulled out of your deck. That's what summon means. And then if you get all 3, you get another commando in the bottom of your deck, so you can kind of keep spawning commandos by summoning them. I think that's kind of the most interesting card here, so I'm going to take that one. So next up, we've got Neca, Reinforced Siege Tower, and Alba Pikeman. Alba Pikeman has a 2-turn timer and then summons a copy of itself to the row, so it's kind of like what Reaver Scout is, but for Nilfgaard. The Siege Tower, when you deploy it, you add 2 armor to adjacent units, so it seems to be part of the armor strategy. I have no idea what Fresh Crew does, and unfortunately I can't find out by mousing over it here. And then we have the Neca, which works in Consume decks. I'm going to grab a Neca because I think Consume decks are a good fun archetype to work with, and why not? So we got a bit more of an interesting pack here because we have a blue and a purple. So our blue was the Vikavaro Medic, and our epic was Orcs. Orcs toggles the lock of units and also damages them by 1. Locking and unlocking units is just fairly useful to have cards for, so not bad. Then in terms of our next card, we got a second purple. Look at this. So there's no point in picking Decoy because we already have it. It seems like Decoy is one of the starting cards, which I think is really good because Decoy is great. So the options are Shal, I'm probably saying this wrong, or Asara Van Anahid. Deploy, shuffle up to 2 cards from your graveyard into your deck. And then this card, strengthen self by 1, so that's the veteran ability timer. At the turn end, convert this unit's power into base power. So if you buff him up, he gets turned into base power. I feel like that's interesting, but I'm going to go for the Nilfgaard card, I think. Like I said, I want to play around a bit with Nilfgaard, and I feel like this is a worthwhile choice. So we have another purple option here. We're getting really good luck on the purples, though I haven't seen any premiums yet. So our options are Restore, return a unit from your graveyard to your hand, then discard a card. To reveal, Ambush, spring when your opponent passes, and boost 2 units on either side by 2. So she's a flip over card. And Johnny, deploy, discard a card in your hand, including golds, then create in your hand a card of the same color from your opponent's deck. So that's interesting, you get an opponent's card here. I'm going to go with Restore. I think this is the most universally useful, and it's one of the kind of core Skellige cards, having the ability to resurrect is really useful, and I feel like this is a great choice. Oh my gosh, the epic luck is really with us today. So our choices are Elias, deploy, destroy an ally, damage an enemy by the destroyed ally's power. So that is a Skellige card. I typically don't rate damaging your own units in order to damage your opponent. I feel like, you know, what are you really gaining from that? It's removal. You gain 8 points in removal, basically, but it's very dependent on what you have. Thaler, deploy, draw 2 cards, including gold, keep 1 and shuffle the others back. And then we have the Guardian, Death Wish, create 2 Lesser Guardians on the top of your opponent's deck. And Lesser Guardians, I believe, have about 6 strength or so. And they are silver cards. I'm going to go with Thaler. I do want the Guardian. I think that's a fun card to play around with. But Thaler, having the ability to gain card advantage is just universally useful. And getting hold of that early, I recommend as a Gwent player, just because it fits into basically any Northern Realms deck. And being able to gain card advantage, like I say, is kind of one of the key features of this game. Jiminy Cricket, the purples just keep on coming. So Operator, deploy. Choose a bronze unit in your hand and create a base copy of it in both players' hands. So that's been limited to only bronze cards now, which I'm kind of disappointed with. I liked being able to, you know, duplicate silvers. I thought it was quite interesting. Then we have Joachim, play the top loyal unit from your deck and boost it by 10. This is a standard spying Nilfgaard card. They haven't really changed it. And then Jenge Fret, deploy, damage 3 allies by 1. Effort strengthens stealth by 1. So if you use your ability, he gets stronger. Because effort is like when you use the ability. So I guess this is kind of interesting. I think like this is going to work quite nicely in the self-harm decks. Obviously you're damaging your own teammates. You're not damaging your opponent. So that's why he gets stronger. And this can be useful for setting things up for the Warcrier, for example. Warcrier is basically what Warcry was in the previous game. So if you're going Skellige harm, that would be quite a good pick. Which one? We'll go with Joachim for now, and we can get the other one later. So this is a little bit confusing here, because I definitely have at least 1 copy of the Temerian Infantryman, but because this is a different art, it's saying that I don't own this card. So this is a little bit confusing, and this is why you need to be a bit careful in terms of what you pick, because obviously I don't really want more than 3 of them, even if they have different art styles, because it doesn't really help me. But in this situation, I'm going to go with Temerian Infantryman. Stammelford Tremors is good in Skellige harm decks, because you're damaging up to 8 random enemies. So, you know, if you're going for abilities where you kind of keep whittling down your opponent's health, it's good. Similarly, you know, Clan Drum and Shield Maiden is good in, like, self-harm strategies, but Infantryman I need to get all 3 of, so we're going to grab this one here. So in this situation, I would say take the Vikavara Medic. It's a really cool Nilfgaard card, and being able to steal bronze units from your opponent's graveyard is really useful. With that said, you know, I already have 3, so that's not an option. We have the Dunbana Heavy Cavalry, deploy, remove armor from 2 units and boost stealth by the amount of armor removed. And we have Dimritium Shackles, toggle a unit's lock if it is gold, demote it. Now the thing with Shackles is I really feel like you're never really running more than 1 typically. Occasionally you'll run 2, but most of the time you'd only run 1. Whereas with something like the Dunbana Heavy Cavalry, I feel like if you're going to be playing him, you're going to be playing him quite a lot, so it's probably better to have the 3 of them earlier on than it would be to get lots of Dimritium Shackles. So we have the Shield Maiden once again, then the Vreehead Sapper, ambush, and after 2 turns gets flipped over, but we're definitely picking the Darelan Foot Soldier here. This is a reveal synergy unit. When this unit is revealed, play it and draw a card. So basically if you reveal this to other people, it then gets played and you get a replacement card. So it kind of reminds me of the kind of discard strategy where there's a card that you can discard, and if you discard it, it gets played from Skellige. This is a similar idea, but with reveal in Nilfgaard. So here the options are Blood Curdling Roar, Reaver Scout, and Vreehead Brigade. Reaver Scouts you actually get 2 in your kind of starting collection. But honestly, I think getting a 3rd one is very useful. When you play this, you pull a copy of a different bronze ally from your deck. So you can use him to basically play other cards. And I think he's a really useful starting Northern Realms card. Alternatively, there's the Brigade. Promote this unit when you play a weather card. So promote turns it golden. So you can turn this unit golden by playing weather. So there seems to be some kind of Scoia'tael weather strategy going on. And Blood Curdling Roar is, I think, good in, like I say, Skellige harm decks, because you can trade in an ally for a very strong bear. But I'm going to go with the Reaver Scout now, because I feel like that's a key card to get 3 of early on. So here the options are Ancient Foglet, Reinforced Siege Tower, or Drum and Shield Maiden. I'm grabbing the Foglet because I feel like getting started with the weather deck is a really smart decision when you're first picking cards, so getting him early on is a really nice choice. So I'm not sure if the owned or not thing is updating, because I definitely remember picking a NECA earlier, unless I picked a premium NECA and didn't realize. But we have NECA, Lacerate, and Impera Brigade. I'm going to grab an Impera Brigade. Lacerate is a really good card, but often you don't really run more than one in a deck. Impera Brigade is really good for the spying strategy in Nilfgaard, so we're definitely going to grab this card. So we're back in the purple party, and here we have Margarita, which is the Northern Realms option for locking cards, and then we have Donna and Hinder, which is the Skellige option for locking or unlocking cards, and then we have Becca's Twisted Mirror, which is a troll card that you occasionally see people play. Basically, you swap the highest and lowest units on the board, so you want your opponent to have the strongest unit and you to have the weakest unit, so you can switch them around. I think what we're going to go for here is Donna and Hinder. I mean, you could go for Margarita if you're going towards Northern Realms, but I don't know, I'm just picking Donna. It's kind of 50-50 there. So here we have the choice of Striped Commando, Blood Curdling Roar, or Shield Maiden. And we did find a Blood Curdling Roar in one of our first 4 cards in a previous pack. That's why we have one. If I didn't have one, I'd probably grab one now, but I think we're going to get another Blue Striped Commando, because like I say, I do want to play around with this synergy. So here the choice is the Dunbanner Heavy Cavalry, of which I have 3, Lacerate, or the Clannan Crate Raider. And I'm going to grab the Clannan Crate Raider. This is the card I was talking about earlier, where it's resurrected whenever it's discarded, and a discard is a really nice Skellige strategy. Like I said, 1 Lacerate is usually enough to get started, so let's go with this guy. Hey, so we have our first legendary, and this is the easiest choice, you guys. This is by far the easiest choice I've ever had. Geralt Igni is the best starting legendary you can have, in my opinion. The fact that you play this and then it destroys the highest units on the opposite row if that row totals 20 or more. So it hasn't changed at all in this patch, and it's just a generally good card. Say Synthesis, I talked about in my new cards video. She boosts herself based on dwarves and damages an enemy based on the number of elves. But I feel like you either play an elf strategy or a dwarf strategy, so I'm not convinced this is the bestest card ever. Southeast, you look at the top 3 cards in your opponent's deck, and you may choose one and place it at the bottom of your deck. So it's 10 strength, and you can kind of mess up your opponent's draw. I think it's an alright, Nilfgaard card. It fits into more or less any Nilfgaard deck, but Igni fits into every deck and is a neutral, so we're picking this bad boy up. So that's us 20 kegs in, and we do have our first legendary. People expect a drop rate about 1 legendary every 20 or so kegs, so good to see that we got a legendary and it was the best one. No premiums, however, which I find very interesting. It seems like the premium drop rate may be incredibly low. So here our choices are the Blue Stripe Commando, which we can get our 3rd one of, the Dol Blanthana Protector, or the Arrakis Behemoth. I'm going to go for the Commando just because I want to finish off my set, but honestly I feel like either of these choices is good as well. If you want to run Consume, Arrakis Behemoth is key, and if you want to run a special card Square Tail deck, then Dol Blanthana Protectors are really good too. So here it's kind of like personal preference. So I stand corrected. I actually have 2 premium cards. I went to check. I got a premium NECA and a premium Fog. I just didn't realize they were premium. But more importantly, take a look at this keg. So we have premium Clannan Crate Warcrier. Look at him there in all his glory. We have the Dwarven Skirmisher. Then we got Manticore Venom, which is now a silver card that damages 5 units by 4. And our legendary monster card is Caranthir, which is going to go so nicely in my weather deck. Beyond that, we have a blue card. I guess this sparkling one is premium? It doesn't look like it's premium, though. But nah, when I mouse over them there, I don't know. So our options are Madroim Redanian Elite or the Wild Hunt Navigator. I'm going to take the Redanian Elite, I think. Whenever his armor reaches 3, he gets boosted by 5. And you saw that card I previously picked, which took armor from your allies. So we can take his armor off him and boost him, which I really like the sound of. So I saw Premium Epidemic in that last pick, but in terms of this pick, our options are the Queen's Guard, the Reinforced Ballista, and the Vreehead Vanguard. So whenever you mulligan a card, boost this unit. This is deploy damage enemy by 2. Fresh Crew, I think, is what reload used to be. Repeat the deployability. So there's a way you can kind of reload this card. Or we have the Queen's Guard Resurrecting Chain. I really like Queen's Guard as a strategy, so I'm really tempted to go with this one, but I think this is kind of depends on what kind of faction you're leaning towards as to what you pick here. So next up, our choice is the Redanian Elite, the Premium Madroim, or the Spotter. Spotter, whenever you reveal a card, boosts the unit by 1, so this is a reveal synergy deck. And if this card wasn't premium, I definitely would take the Spotter because I have 3 Redanian Elites, but you can't not pick a premium, you guys. So here the option is the Trapper, the Novice, or the Queen's Guard. I'm going to get my second Queen's Guard to start getting that collection rolling. I don't really rate the Novice, and the Trapper, I'm not entirely sure how useful her trap's going to be, whereas I know that Queen's Guard are a fun strategy to run, so let's go with that. Ooh, baby. So first and foremost, Elven War Dancer premium right there, but we have another legendary monster card, so fingers crossed it's not Caranthea number 2. And it's not, it's Woodland Spirit, so I really feel like if I was a brand new player, this is a sign from God that I need to be playing weather monsters. So we'll take that one into account as we check out our final card, and it's a blue. And here I'm definitely going to go for Priestess of Freya. Having 3 Priestess of Freyas is really core in a lot of Skellige strategies. If that wasn't my choice, I would pick up a second Imperial Brigade to start to get the ball rolling on those. But as it is, we'll grab this one. So here our options are Emissary, Clan Demon, Pirate Captain, or Premium Overdose. Now, typically I would pick up the 3rd Emissary because 3 Emissaries, again, they typically seem to be core for spying synergies in Nilfgaard. Getting 3 of them out is really nice. But when there's a Premium Overdose on the board, how can you say no? See, now I'm really worried that I missed out on a premium choice earlier because I didn't realize the card was premium. But in this situation, we've got 3 Blue Stripe Commandos. I want to get a second Clan and Crate Raider on the board. Ideally, you want 3 for the discard strategy. And once I've got those down, I can start to pick up the Protectors for my special card Square Tail deck. So speaking of Dol Blathana Protectors, here's a premium one. So that is a sign that that is what they want me to pick up. Your alternatives are the Nausicaa Standard Bearer or the Clan Demon Pirate Captain. You see Clan Demon Pirate Captain previously, it got played quite a bit. This is the one that strengthens whenever you discard a card, wherever it is. I mean, it's not too bad. Nausicaa Standard Bearer, boost 1 ally or revealed unit in your hand by 3 and clear weather. So I would go for the Nausicaa Standard Bearer to get this next reveal synergy weather clear, because this is maybe more useful than First Light. But as is, we're taking this premium card. So next up we have the option of regular Necker. I already have 1 premium Necker. Alternatively, Temerian Infantryman or Hawker Support. I actually think I have 3 Temerian Infantrymen, just this is one of their art styles, so just be aware of that when you're picking cards. So I'm going to go for the Necker just to start building up my collection. Hawker Support, deploy, boost a unit in your hand by 3 is not bad. Like, you can definitely use this with spying strategies. But now that there's cards that deal with kind of spying units, there is a risk involved in like boosting one of them too much. So just be aware of that, but we're going to grab Necker for now. So we're back to legendaries once again, and here we have Draug, deploy, damage a random enemy by 1, repeat 6 times, so he does 6 damage. Then we have Ceres, counter 4, decrease whenever a unit is resurrected on your side, at counter 0, resurrect this unit. So basically every time you resurrect a card, this decreases the counter, and by the time you've done it 4 times, then she gets resurrected. And this clearly will synergize with the Queen's Guards, because Queen's Guard, if you resurrect 1, it resurrects all 3. So there's clearly a synergy going on there. But I think, like, given the choice, you have to take Shani. Shani, resurrect a unit from your graveyard and add 4 armor to it. Just having resurrections is really useful, and Shani does fit into any Northern Realms deck, whereas Ceres, you kind of have to build a deck around her. So here our option is a Trapper, a Novice, or a Savage Bear. I'm going to grab a Savage Bear. Having those in your deck are really useful for the harming Skellige strategies, so we'll just pick up one of those. So here we have the Vikavara Novice, the Overdose Potion, and Ekamara. Ekamara is a core card in Consume strategy, so I'm going to go for that one. Overdose Potion, I don't really rate, although I did get a premium one. Similarly, Vikavara Novice, so Ekamara is the easy pick here. Holy smokes, you guys. Our luck is unbelievable right now. Our options are Succubus, timer 2, turn start, move the highest other unit on its row to your side, so 2 turns later you steal one of their strong cards. Zoltan, Animal Tamer, deploy, spawn, Field Marshal, Duda Companion, or Field Marshal, Duda Agitator. These are like birds, basically parrots that you can send to either side, either your side to help you or his side to hinder you. But Dandelion, deploy, boost up to 3 units in your deck by 3. Basically, when you play him, he's worth, what's that, 17 points? And I feel like that's a pretty decent pick. Plus, like, who doesn't love Dandelion? Okay, so we've got some silvers here, some silver purples. And as you can see, I already have Restore, and I already have Thaler. But Manticore is actually no longer a starter card. Previously, it was a starter card. But this is the easy pick. We'll go for Manticore. I think if I didn't have these other 2, I would have picked Thaler or Restore here. Because I think both of those are better than him. But, you know, it's an easy choice. So, Dunbanner Light Cavalry, turn start. If you have not passed and are losing the round by more than 20 power, summon this unit. So this is like a backup strategy, I guess, for when you're losing by more than 20. But like, by the point at which you're losing by more than 20, I'm not convinced 4 points is really enough. So I'm not really convinced about how useful this is. Like I said, with Shackles, you only really need 1, so this is a card I'd pick up later on. But at this point, I think I'm going to go for the Clan Drum and Shield Maidens now, and start to get a few of those. So the options here are Combat Engineer, Vreehead Brigade, or the Harpy. Harpy, when you play it, it triggers the Death Wish of adjacent units, so this is a Death Wish synergy. I haven't really seen that many Death Wish cards so far, so maybe Harpy is not really worthwhile. The Brigade, promote this unit when you play Weather, so this is play Weather and give this some protections. Whereas Combat Engineer, toggle a unit's resilience, so you can make a unit basically stay on the board or not stay on the board. Typically, you don't run more than 2 of these in a deck. Like, these are useful, but they're only useful rounds 1 and 2, so having 3 kind of means that you have too many in your deck. So I'm going to go for the Brigade here. So here we have Shackles, Emissary, and Sapper. I've talked about all of these cards before, and getting a 3rd Emissary is definitely, in my opinion, the best decision. So here we have Lacerate, Raging Berserker, and Imperial Brigade. Raging Berserker is really nice in the self-harm strategies. Lacerate is generally a decent card, but I've been kind of more focused on Nilfgaard, so we're going to grab another Imperial Brigade here to try and get a good set of spying cards. So this is what I mean about the Temerian Infantrymen. It says that I don't own any when I'm pretty sure that I do. So what I'm going to go for here is another Shield Maiden to start to get my collection there up. But again, this is one with multiple art styles, so you have to be a little bit wary of that. Right, so we got another purple card, and here our options are Thaler, Prize-Winning Cow, or Treason. Thaler, I picked previously, he's pretty good. I'm going to go with Prize-Winning Cow, which again is now no longer a starter card, because I feel like there's a really interesting Skellige harm strategy going on with Prize-Winning Cow, where you can spawn a Chort by damaging yourself. I have a feeling that might be possible, and it's a strategy I want to kind of play around with. Treason plays the bottom card from your opponent's deck. I think this is really interesting, but I have no idea, how that's going to work out. Though it does synergize really nicely with that legendary card I saw earlier. Was it Zarthisius or whatever his name is? The one where you can look at your opponent's top 3 cards and then put one to the bottom of their deck. Because you can then purposely target draw that with Treason. So if you had Zarthisius, Treason and Zarthisius work really nicely together. And I'm probably saying his name wrong. So here we have Blue Stripe Commando, and I definitely already have 3 of them, so this must be a different art style. Thus, the choice is Shackles or Harpy. I'm going to go for Harpy in this situation. So next up, the options are Arrakis Behemoth, Reaver Scout, or Stammelford Tremors. I'm going to go for Behemoth because it's a core card in consume strategies, whereas Tremors is sometimes useful, but it's not that often played. At least it wasn't in closed beta. So it feels like Arrakis is going to be more useful in more situations, basically. So here, the choice is Lacerate, Queensguard, or Ancient Fogler. I'm pretty sure I have quite a few Queensguard already, so I'm going to grab another Fogler to get my Weather deck going, especially as I have the legendary cards for those. So I've already got 3 Vikavara Medics, so the option is Siege Tower or Sapper. I'm going to go for the Siege Tower because I want to try out armor strategies before I want to try out ambush strategies, so that's what I'm going to pick. So we have another purple, and here our options are Reinforcements, play a unit from your deck, then shuffle the others back. I think that basically just means targeted draw. So targeted draw of silvers or bronzes. And we have Albrich, deploy, clash. Each player draws a card, including gold. The card drawn by your opponent is revealed. So you both get a card? I'm not entirely sure what clash means. But I think you both get a card, but he has to show his card. I'm going to grab Albrich because I want to do some reveal strategies. Though I think Reinforcements is also an interesting card. So here we've got Elven Merc, Reinforced Siege Tower, and Clan Brokvar Hunter. The Hunter is strengthened whenever an adjacent unit is damaged, so it gets stronger whenever you damage a nearby unit. And deploy, you damage a unit by 3. So that could be a teammate, an ally, or an enemy. So this I feel like is going to be interesting in those damaging Skellige strategies. Elven Merc is a core card in special card strategies. So you play it as a spying unit. And if this unit is spying, move it to your side after you play an ambush unit. Deploy, draw 2 bronze special cards, play 1, and shuffle the others back. So there's like spying ambush synergy going on. So you play this, and then it gives you 2 special cards. And then if you play an ambush unit, you bring it back. So you have the option to pull it back as well. I'm going to grab the Elven Merc. I feel like that's a really interesting card. So here the options are Wild Hunt Hound, Clan Drum and Shield Maiden, or Immune Boost. I really like Immune Boost, but I think getting a third Wild Hunt Hound is good to do early because it gets you going with your weather strategies, which is a really strong beginner strategy. So finding the third one of those I think is going to be really useful. So we got purples, and our options are Bray N, deploy, damage an enemy by this unit's power, so 5 damage basically is what she does, bit boring. Sigdriffer, deploy, resurrect a unit from your graveyard. This is a really useful Skellige card. And then New King of Beggars, deploy, Brave. So Brave is if you're losing. Strengthen self enough to tie the round or to a maximum of 15 base power. So this is like a catch-up mechanic. I don't know how useful that's going to be. I think like being able to catch up with the card is useful, but you don't really want to be in a situation where you have to catch up. I guess this is useful in decks which are playing a lot of low tempo cards. So if you're playing a lot of cards with like low power, you can then use King of Beggars as a catch-up mechanism to basically gain a bit more tempo. That's kind of how stuff like Crones and the Witches work, for example. But in this situation, I'm going to grab Sigdriffer. She's really good in Skellige. And I feel like with the way we've been drafting a lot of Skellige, Monster, and Nilfgaard. So maybe kind of focusing on them. Although we've done well with monsters too. Northern Realms also. Squirtle not so much. So I just found Marigold's Hailstorm as one of the base cards there. Our choice here is Imperial Brigade, Tremors, or Hunter, and I'm going to grab my 3rd Brigade. So the choice here is Harpy, Blue Striped Commando, or Queen's Guard. I'm not sure if I've got 3 Queen's Guard yet, but I think we'll grab a Harpy because I'm likely to find another Queen's Guard later on, and I know I have 3 Blue Striped Commandos. From here on in, guys, that's our 50th deck, so I'm just going to showcase the purples and legendaries that I find now, and not the blues, just to speed up this pack opening a little bit. And I'll give you the report of the numbers of cards that I find later on at the end of the video, so that you know my kind of quantities. So we've got the choice of an epic. We're going to go for the premium epic, which is Katakan. But Katakan is actually also a really good epic card. Consuming a unit from either graveyard gives you a lot of points, as well as graveyard removal. It's pretty strong. The alternatives, if none of them were premium, is Aeromancy and Pavetta. Pavetta, deploy, clash, shuffle the lowest ally into your deck, then shuffle the lowest enemy into your opponent's deck. So you remove your lowest unit and their lowest unit. So I guess she's useful if their lowest unit is quite strong and yours isn't. But Aeromancy, I think, would also be a viable pick here between Katakan and Aeromancy. This one works really nicely for weather decks. This one works really nicely for consume decks. Okay, so we've got a legendary choice here. Our options are Siri Dash. When this unit enters the graveyard, strengthen it by 3 and shuffle it back into your deck. So this card actually works really nicely with discard strategies. You can kind of cycle her a few times and gain some strength. Succubus we talked about previously. Alternatively, Zoltan Chevet. Deploy, move 3 units to this row on their side. If they are allies, strengthen them by 2. So you can put units onto this row and gain an extra 6 strength, giving him a potential 14. Succubus, I feel like, is a bit situational. I'm going to go for Siri Dash here because I feel like she's the most interesting card, but I feel like you could more or less pick whichever one suits your kind of playstyle and the kind of decks that you like to run. So we got another legendary. I believe this is our 8th legendary. Geralt you get for free, so we're not going to pick him. So it's Zoltan, who we talked about, or Assassination. Assassination, you lock and destroy an enemy. So the reason that this is important is that if a locked enemy has an effect that triggers in the graveyard, if you lock it before you destroy it, then it doesn't get resurrected, or whatever happens in the graveyard doesn't happen. But as is, I think I'm going to go for Zoltan here. I feel like Nilfgaard has better legendary cards that I'm not convinced Assassination will see that much play, so let's just grab this one. Okay, so we got another epic, and our choices are Thaler, who we've already chosen, Yarp and Zergan, Resilient whenever a dwarf ally, including Gaunts, is played, boost self by 1, or Morkvarg. Whenever this unit is discarded or destroyed, resurrect it and weaken it by 3. So he used to take 2 damage, now he takes 3 damage, and he obviously doesn't have the faction ability anymore to buff him. So Morkvarg's not nearly as good as he was, but you can see he's been downgraded to purple. Yarpen, I feel like, works quite nicely in dwarf decks. I think, given the choice, if you haven't got Thaler, take Thaler, but I'm going to go for Yarpen, I think. Okay, so here the choice is Orcs, Dudu, or Fiend. Dudu is a starting epic card, so you wouldn't pick him. Fiend, deploy, toggle a unit's lock. If an enemy, damage it by half its power. So this is Nilfgaard lock or Monsters lock. So pick the one that you play more of. Okay, so we got another epic, and our choices are Albrich, Nature's Gift, and Morkvarg. Nature's Gift and Morkvarg both don't seem super amazing. Nature's Gift is targeted special card draw, which is nice. I guess it's a special card that plays a special card, so if you have cards that benefit from playing special cards, then you get the effect twice. But I don't feel like it's as good as it was previously. I don't know. I feel like I'm going to go for Morkvarg here, although the fact that you can play 2 special cards is maybe good. Let's just go for Nature's Gift. Come on, monsters legendary, not Corinthia or woodland spirits. Ah, oh, the legendary gods are smiling upon me today. They really want me to play monsters. Well, this isn't really much of a choice. If you don't have Igni, pick Igni. Stefan Skellen, deploy, choose a card from your deck and place it to the top of your deck. So targeted draw is good. Woodland Spirit, good. It depends if you want to play Weather or Nilfgaard. So the options here are Jenge again, the one where you damage your teammates. Yavin, which is the spying draw card for Scoia'tael. Or Cynthia, deploy, reveal the highest unit in your opponent's hand and boost self by the revealed unit's power. I feel like we've got to go for Cynthia here. I feel like if we're going to go for a reveal strategy, having her is going to be pretty good. Next, I would pick Yavin and then Jenge. So here the choice is Eskel, Sheldon Skaggs, or Reinforcements. Reinforcement is the one which is targeted draw of a unit. Sheldon Skaggs, deploy, move all units to the row, on the row to a random row on the same side. Effort, boost self by 1. So you move all units on his row to random rows. I guess it's to get units out of weather. This is a premium, so we have to pick it. But I think otherwise I'd probably go Eskel or Reinforcements here. You guys, it's a duplicate. Sad face. So here our choices are Dimeritium Bomb, Braen, or Morkvarg. Braen, deploy, she deals damage. Morkvarg, we've talked about, I'm going Dimeritium Bomb. So here the choice is Odrin, Monster's Nest, or Okvist. Odrin, turn starts, move to a random row and boost units on it by 1, which just seems pretty fantastic. Monster's Nest, spawn a bronze, necrophage, or insect unit and boost it by 2. So I guess this, you replicate a necrophage or insectoid. Okvist, 4-turn timer, turn start, damage all enemies by 1, then return this unit to your hand. So after 4 turns, he damages everyone by 1, and then transforms into Exhausted Okvist, which does less damage. I'm going to take Odrin. I feel like he's the best card there. So here our choice is Gravehag, Naneki, or Holger Blackhand, which we already have. Gravehag, 1-turn timer, and then it consumes all units in your graveyard, consumes them all, but only boosts this unit by 1 for each. So it's a really good kind of finisher to get a lot of points. Naneki, shuffle up to 3 cards from your graveyard back into your deck. She used to just resurrect things onto the board. Now she resurrects them into your deck, which is useful with stuff like Reaver Scout, but I think we're going to go for Gravehag here. So here the choice is Stennis, Skellige Storm, or Monster's Nest. Stennis, he's the one that boosts you based on machines. Skellige Storm is a weather effect, and Monster's Nest is spawning a bronze necrophage or insectoid. I'm going to grab Skellige Storm. So here the choice is Blue Boy Lugos, Cantarella, or Commander's Horn, which is a starter card. Cantarella is the spying unit that draws you cards for Nilfgaard. Blue Boy Lugos, deploy, he spawns a Spectral Whale. Spectral Whale, I believe, moves between rows and damages each row. That's what it used to do at least, but obviously I can't find out whilst picking. I'm going to go for Cantarella because I think having the spying units is really useful. There you go, guys. We got a premium legendary. Royal Decree you start with, and we've talked about Succubus, so I would be picking Vabjorn here, but he's an interesting card for damaging Skellige strategies, and we're definitely going to pick him up. So here we only have one choice, but fortunately it's also a premium choice. Deploy, draw 2 cards from your deck, including golds, keep 1 and discard this. This is the Skellige drawing a card unit. Scorch you start with, and Fiend we picked previously, so I'm going to grab this one. Hey, we found Menno! Deploy, destroy all spying enemies. So you basically play a bunch of spies and then kill them all. Isn't that such a political thing to do? Nice. We got a legendary Scoia'tael. It's a Glace! I'll take it. When you play her, you can resurrect a special card from your opponent's graveyard, but if you do that, she loses some of her 10 strength. So here the option is Drake Bondahu, deploy, strengthen 2 units in your graveyard, Crone, Whispus, or Dimeritium Bomb. And I think if you're going for monsters, go for Crones, but I also really like Drake Bondahu for the resurrection decks, which Skellige has. But I'm going to grab this Crone because then I have 2. Oh, I'm so bored of opening kegs. So we got another choice for a legendary, and say Synthesis you actually start with. So it's Leo or Kira. Kira, when you play her, you can spawn Quen, Epidemic, or Thunderbolt Potion, but we're definitely going to go for Leo here. Deploy, reveal a unit in your hand, including golds, and damage an enemy by the revealed unit's power. So here the choice is Blue Boy Lugos or Seret. Seret, deploy, set the power of a revealed unit in your opponent's hand by 1, and I'm going to grab that for my revealed deck. Blue Boy Lugos, still a good card though. Hey, Wild Boar of the Sea. Turn start. Strengthen the unit to your left by 1 and damage the unit to your right by 1. This is a very interesting card. So here we have a choice between Dennis Kramer and reinforcement. So here we have a choice between Dennis Cranmer and reinforcements. Cranmer, when you play him, he strengthens all other dwarves in your hand, deck, and on your side of the board by 1. So it's basically what Barclay Els used to do. Reinforcement is targeted draw. And we're going to grab some Cranmer because I love me a dwarf deck. But either is fine. So here we don't really have a choice because we have Cantarella and Crone Weavis. Actually, we have 2 of them. I would probably go Cantarella here if you were, you know, picking and you didn't have other Crones or other Witchers, but as it is, we'll grab Vesemir. And we're finally done, 166 kegs. So from the numbers, I opened 830 cards, of which 185 were rare. And of those 185, I got 28 rare premiums. So it doesn't seem too bad, right? That's more than a 10% drop rate, actually. Like, more than 1 in 10 of those are premium, so that's nice. Then I got 34 epics, of which 3 were premium. And I got 15 legendaries, of which 1 were premium. So those are my drop rates. But this is the thing that confuses me a lot. And this is where I take issue, because that means that I opened 596 common cards. And of the 596 common cards, I got 4 premiums. So that is abysmal. Like, that's like 1% of my commons were premium, basically. Like, if I show you guys here the commons premium only owned, I got premium Fog, premium Rain, premium War Dancer, and premium War Crier, and that's it. And that leaves me, you know, a bit questioning about what's going on with the drop rates there, because that doesn't seem quite right to me. I mean, it is what it is. They're just fancy cards, you know. It's not the end of the world. But let me know in the comments below how your keg openings went, and if you have any kind of criticisms with the cards that I picked, or if I missed any premiums by accident. Maybe I missed all of the common premiums, but you don't typically choose those, so, you know, that's the thing. Beyond that, thanks for watching, and if you've enjoyed this keg opening, hit that thumbs up button. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Expect plenty of content coming out now that open beta has started. Have a great day. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time. Bye!